Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in this world it is that you are. Welcome once more to another live stream of Alexandra Mayers Live. And today we're going to continue with our page by page reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible. So we're in the book of Joshua right now. We're entering chapter 5, which is a continuation of chapter 4. In chapter 4 covered the 12 memorial stones. Now, chapter 5 covers circumcision and Passover at Gilgal, also the fall of Jericho. So here we go, and I'll provide my commentary as I see fit. And welcome, Angels Don't Fall. Hope you're having a good day. Here we go. When all the kings of the Amorites west of the Jordan and of the Canaanites by the sea to the east heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of the Jordan before the Israelites while they crossed over, their hearts melted, and there was no longer any breath in them because of the Israelites. Circumcision and Passover at Gilgal. At the time of the Lord, at that time, the Lord said to Joshua, "Make flint knives and circumcise the Israelites a second time." So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the Israelites at the hill of the foreskins called Gibeath Haraloth. Now, this is the reason why Joshua circumcised them. All the males who came out of Egypt, who were men of fighting age, had died in the wilderness along the way after leaving Egypt. All of the people who had come out were circumcised, but all the people born in the wilderness along the way after leaving Egypt were not circumcised. The Israelites had traveled 40 years in the wilderness until all the people, the men of fighting age who came out of Egypt, died because they did not obey the Lord. The Lord had sworn not to let them see the land that he had sworn to their fathers to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Yet he raised up their descendants in their place. These men Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised. They had not been circumcised along the way. So when the entire people was completely circumcised, they stayed where they were in the camp until they healed. The Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away the disgrace of Egypt from upon you." So the name of that place is called Gilgal, even to this day. The Israelites camped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month in the evening on the plains of Jericho. The day after the Passover, they ate of the produce of the land, unleavened bread and roasted grain. The manna stopped the day after they ate from the produce of the land, and the Israelites no longer had manna. That year they ate what the land of Canaan yielded. And what's important to realize also, and I went over this on the most recent live stream Bible reading, is that these people routinely witnessed miracles. I thought it was very interesting that the successor of Moses performed the same, almost the exact same miracle involving the parting of water as Moses did. And it would have been really interesting to see that manna that came down from the sky in those times, because I just kind of wonder what it is. You know, there's a lot of ancient aliens material out there theorizing as to what that manna was. But let's go ahead and get into the fall of Jericho. Now, when Joshua was by Jericho, he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man was standing in front of him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said, "Are you for us or for our enemies?" He said, "Neither, for I am the commander of the army of the Lord." So this was a representation of God. Again, I mean, that's what's so amazing to me about these books of the Bible. And I really wish that when I was younger, I had been taught more of this, that the people in these times were witnessing representatives of the Lord. If you had a chance to go into the tent of meeting, you might even see the Lord. You're seeing these things coming out of the sky. Now, the ancient astronaut theorists, they all want to say, oh, it was all UFOs or UAPs. I disagree, because I believe that in existence, there's room for both UFO, UAP elements, extraterrestrials or aliens, alongside God, angels, demons, things having to do with the heavenly realm. I don't think that you can only have one or the other. And thank you, Deviant. Thank you. Let me tell y'all something. My voice probably sounds a bit better than it used to, because I quit smoking back in February, and I stuck to it. I definitely stuck to it. I still don't think I'm like 100%. And luckily, I didn't deal with a lot of voice deterioration from the few years of smoking that I indulged in. But part of the reason that I quit smoking was because I think I do have a nice speaking voice and I want to maintain it. But thank you. All right, so let's continue with this. He said, "Neither, for I am the commander of the army of the Lord. Now I have come." Then Joshua fell with his face to the ground and worshipped. Then he said, "What does my Lord wish to say to his servant?" I wonder which commander of the army of the Lord it was. Do you think it was Archangel Michael who appeared? Because it doesn't seem to be clear. Do you think it was Michael, or do you think it was a different angel? Probably Michael. The commander of the army of the Lord said to Joshua, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy." So Joshua did this. Hmm. You know, this sentence is the sentence. Has any of you in the chat ever seen that animated movie, The Prince of Egypt? It's the story of Moses. When Moses is first contacted by the Lord in that movie, and they did such a wonderful job with that movie. I love that movie. Um, and he goes into like the canyon or the cave in order to retrieve the lost sheep. In the movie, the script has the voice of the Lord say to Moses, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground." So they got that from Joshua 5. Interesting, very interesting. I recommend everybody read the Bible page by page. I really do. I've had such a good time reading this, and just so that all of you know, we're at the end of Joshua 5. I'm wondering, should we go into Joshua 6? Yes, I'm up for it. We're going to go ahead and continue and go into Joshua 6 right now. But everyone should at least attempt to read the Bible cover to cover. Reason I say this is because there's so many lessons. And there is a certain energy to the Bible to where when you start reading the Bible, the world around you physically does shift a little bit. Things change in your life. You start noticing different things that you haven't noticed before. And I personally believe that God likes when we read the Bible. We don't need to forget about the Bible. I'm not going to talk about this today, but I don't think that AI knows enough about the Bible, because I've done some searches to where AI seemed to have a little bit of a difficult time finding some answers to things. And then I would do the search the next day and things were corrected within the AI. So I think that we do need to get more of the biblical word out there, substantially more. So, anyway, let's go ahead and go into Joshua 6 because I'm feeling energized. Here we go. Joshua chapter 6. Now Jericho was tightly secured before the Israelites. There was no one leaving or entering. The Lord said to Joshua, "See, I have given Jericho its king and mighty men of valor to your land. All the men of fighting age shall march around the city. Circle the city once. Do this for 6 days. 7 priests shall carry 7 rams' horns, trumpets before the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, with the priests blowing the trumpets. When they blow a long blast on the ram's horn, and when you hear the trumpet sound, all the people shall shout a loud battle cry. The walls of the city will fall down, and the people will go up, every man straight ahead." And this is another story that ancient aliens and other people who subscribe to the ancient alien theory have covered. This has to do with these priests having these horns and somehow um, somehow managing to cause these walls of Jericho to crumble. Now, some people are like, well, maybe there was a sound wave device in addition to the horns. Maybe, or maybe not. Maybe those horns were constructed, probably via the Lord's word. I'm sure that the Lord gave these priests special instructions to make these horns to where the shape of these horns emitted some sort of a sound wave when blown to where it resonated or aligned with whatever the making of those walls were to disintegrate them. It's possible. So we'll talk about that another day too, because there are going to be some video Bible studies that I want to do as companion pieces to these readings, because there's so many things that we've read so far that I really want to expand upon and do some research on and discuss with many of you out there. All right, let's keep going. So Joshua, son of Nun, summoned the priest and said to them, "Take up the ark of the covenant. 7 priests bearing 7 rams' horn trumpets shall be in front of the ark of the Lord." Or it could have been the ark, when I think about it, that was able to get those walls down, because that was a sort of an energetic weapon, that ark. He said to the people, "Advance and march around the city. Let the armed men pass on before the ark of the Lord." So when Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests bearing 7 rams' horn trumpets before the Lord advanced and blew their trumpets. The ark of the covenant of the Lord went after them. The armed men went before the priests, blowing the trumpets, and the rear guard went after the ark while the trumpets were blowing. Now Joshua had commanded the people, "Do not shout a battle cry, and do not let your voices be heard. Do not let a word come out of your mouths until the time I say to you, 'Shout the battle cry,' then shout." So he had the ark of the Lord circle the city once. Then they came into the camp and spent the night there. Then Joshua got up early in the morning, and the priest picked up the ark of the Lord, 7 priests bearing 7 rams' horn trumpets before the ark of the Lord moved on, blowing their trumpets continually. The armed men went before them, and the rear guard went after the ark of the Lord while the trumpets were blowing. The second day they circled the city once, then they returned to the camp. They did this for 6 days. Then on the 7th day, they got up early as dawn was breaking, and they encircled the city in this way 7 times. Only on that day did they circle the city 7 times. On the 7th day, on the 7th time, The priests blew the trumpets, and Joshua said to the people, "Shout the battle cry, for the Lord has given you the city. The city and all that is in it are dedicated to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab, the prostitute, may live, she and all who are with her in her house, for she hid the messengers we sent. As for you, keep yourselves from that which is dedicated for destruction, lest you be destroyed. If you take from that which is dedicated for destruction, you will set the Israelite camp for the destruction and bring trouble upon it. All the silver, gold, and bronze and iron articles are set apart for the Lord. They will go into the treasury of the Lord." So the people shouted, and they blew the trumpets. When the people heard the trumpet sound, they shouted a loud battle cry, and the wall fell down. So the people went up into the city, one man after the other, and they captured it. They destroyed all that was in that city, man and woman, young and old, and oxen, sheep, and donkey with the edge of the sword. Yet to the two men who had spied out the land, Joshua said, "Enter the prostitute's house, and bring out the woman and everyone who belongs to her, as you swore to her." So the young men who had been spies entered and brought out Rahab, her father, her mother, her brothers, everyone who belonged to her, and her whole extended family. They brought them out and placed them outside of the camp of Israel. Woo! I'm sure Rahab dealt with a lot being a prostitute, even in those times. But it's a good thing that she was a prostitute, because that is what ended up saving her family. Very interesting. Very interesting. Many of you who have followed me for years, I'm very familiar with the adult entertainment industry and whatnot. And I don't recommend to anyone ever to be a sex worker or a prostitute. I don't think it's a good idea. Very few people are actually, very few can actually handle something like that. But sometimes it's meant to be for certain men and women to go into certain circumstances in life. And there have been times that I've regretted certain choices that I've made, but at the age I am now, looking back, I can see why it was meant for me to walk the path that it was meant for me to walk. I don't regret, and I'm also not ashamed. And to some of you out there who might quietly be listening to this reading, who know me well, who have shamed me, I do forgive you. But if I don't talk to you anymore, it's because you had absolutely no right or place to judge me as you did. Let's continue. They burned the city and everything in it with fire. Only the silver, the gold, the bronze, and iron articles they gave to the treasury of the house of the Lord. Yet Rahab, the prostitute, her father's family, and everyone who belonged to her, Joshua let live. They live among Israel to this day because she hid the messengers Joshua sent to spy on Jericho. At that time, Joshua made them swear, "Cursed before the Lord will be the man who arises and rebuilds the city of Jericho. He will establish it at the cost of his firstborn and erect its gates at the cost of his youngest child." So the Lord was with Joshua, and he became famous throughout the land. So that's the end of Joshua 6. Tomorrow, hopefully, if I have the time, if not the next day, if not the day after that, whenever I have time, we will go into the book of Joshua, chapter 7. And I'm not going to pre-read it. I'll just let it be a surprise, not only for you, but for myself. Thank you to those of you who decided to listen today. Remember that this reading is free. It goes all the way back to the very beginning of the Bible, and we are making our way through the Bible. I don't know how long it's going to take me to complete this project. It might take months, it might take years. I don't know, but we're doing it and I feel great about it. So, all of you have a great day. I do feel extra energized now. I have a lot more that I need to get done today. So, make sure that all of you also check out my other projects, which are all linked up to my official website, alexandramayerslive.com. Lots of exciting things going over on the IP2 Wiki Info channel. And there's another channel I'm going to reactivate soon. It's already activated, but I'm going to start live streaming on soon because it's the right time for me to cover certain material that that particular channel covers. We will talk about that another day. I do want to do a video companion Bible study series to go along with this. It's going to be once a week. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. It's going to be a completely different channel, but I think I do need to do that. I feel called to do it. So take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.